Everyone, on behalf of Team NIFT Bengaluru, I extend a very, very warm welcome to you for today's session on NIFT Homecoming Episode 5. Ghar Vapsi, or Homecoming, is a platform for us to invite our esteemed alumni back to the campus for them to share snippets of their journey as a NIFTian and also relive their memories for all our dear students across the entire NIFT fraternity, all 19 campuses. Today, I also extend my greetings to our beloved Director General, Ms. Tanu Kashyap IAS, our Dean Academic, Dr. Sudha Dhingra, and all our faculty colleagues who have also joined us online to watch the proceedings as we live stream them. I also extend a very warm welcome to the entire student community who are watching us today, and I'm sure this will be a very, very enlightening experience. Acknowledging the excitement amongst all of you to meet our star alumni and to hear them speak, I will not waste much time. Let me introduce you to our panelists for today. I begin with the moderator for the evening, our faculty colleague, Mr. Prashant K.C. May I invite him on stage as he takes his place for moderating this beautiful discussion today. Prashant is an experienced design strategist with extensive expertise in consumer interface design, visual merchandising, retail store design, and project management. Skilled in developing operational policies, strategies, and motivational schemes, Prashant also has a strong background in recruitment, training, and workforce development, beginning his career in interior design and later transitioning into visual merchandising and the retail space. He now channels his diverse experience through academia, focusing on generational trends and creating impactful designs. Please welcome Mr. Prashant K.C. on stage. It is my absolute privilege to welcome our guest for the evening, Ms. Pallavi Foley, founder and owner of Pallavi Foley Boutique Jewels, who graduated from our accessory design batch of NIFT from the year 2000 at NIFT New Delhi. Thereafter, she went on to design jewelry for Tanishq, and during her 9.5-year stint with them, she designed many collections, including the Miss India Universe crowns, ladies and gentlemen, in 2006 and 2007. She won the NID Business World Design Award in 2004 in the category of Best Accessory Design for her collection called Amra. September 2011, she was on the cover page of India Today as a game changer, where she was part of the 35 young achievers who broke the rules and made a difference. Her award-winning piece, Three Space, won the second place in the beads category of the 2010 International Sol Bell Award competition. In 2022 December, she won the prestigious award of Designer of the Year Retail Jeweler Guild Award for the best menswear jewelry design and also the best necklace design. Absolute privilege to have you on stage. Ms. Pallavi Foley, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, and we eagerly look forward to hearing you speak today. It's my honor to introduce our second guest for today, Mr. Nidhi Raj, Chief Executive Officer, Flying Machine of Arvind Fashion Limited, also a graduate from NIFT batch of 2000 NIFT New Delhi Fashion Design. He worked with Aditya Birla Fashion and Retail for almost 15 years in 2 separate stints in various capacities of designer, creative and VM head, and product director, apart from being the youngest vice president. His last role with ABFRL was of brand head, Peter England, girls and boys. He's also worked with Color Plus as head of design in between. Post his stint at ABFRL, he joined Arvind Youth Brands Private Limited and is currently serving as the CEO for Flying Machine, leading a transformational journey for jeans brand that is still loved by the Indian consumer across demographics. He's also won many accolades, and to name a few are the ABFRL Award for Outstanding Achievements in the year 2016, Best Young Manager for All India Management Association in 2006, Most Innovative Designer at the Global Platform for Mittel Moda Design Competition in Italy in 2005, and a research scholarships at Otago Polytechnic, New Zealand in 2005. He's been a flag bearer on many innovations such as the world's first earth chinos and NFC traceability dyed with sustainable ergo waste dye stuff, and the world's first homemade cotton imperfectly made through microspinning and energy-efficient small-scale units. A very warm welcome to you for today, and we look forward to hearing you speak. Ladies and gentlemen, the panelists on stage for NIFT Homecoming, Episode 5. May I hand over the mic to Mr. Prashant Kesi to take you through this beautiful journey.
So, thank you, Nithya. So, it's really wonderful to be here with the constellation that represents NIFT. This 38 years, it has produced so many stars, and 2 of them are here addressing to you their journey, thereby inspiring you. There will be a day when you would be out here. So, what makes this day really important for me is that I have somebody who has designed tiara and crowns to Miss India Universe.
Yes.
As well as she has done a design for menswear collection, which has got the best menswear award.
Yes.
Right? Men's jewelry award, sorry. Now, this kind of encompasses both the spectrum. And I hardly find many who have achieved this feat. So we have Pallavi here. And along with us, we have Nidhi. Now, just if you have to summarize, and when Nithya was mentioning this, you have a designer who is now the CEO, somebody who heads the business, somebody now young aspirational designers. Think about this. Your parents wore the same brand which is heading, and that brand had its natural death. And today, Nidhi is that person who is resurrecting that brand for us, right? And Arvind being a legacy employer, and we have somebody who has the ringside view and somebody who is controlling it. So that makes this panel very interesting. So I have some questions which I had put across, but through the journey of these questions, I may come up with something more that I can ask, right?
Oops.
So that's one aspect. We have some questions which might come from our audience. Now, audience out here are 2 aspects: the one that you see right now here, and the one which is just behind that camera. That's the YouTube
Yes.
broadcasting audience. I guess all the 21 campuses might be tuned in here. So welcome, and I guess I'll start this question. And some of these questions would be addressed to both of you. Okay, and some would be specific, right? I hope we are good to go on this part.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you. So the whole question starts off with the career beginnings, how you started your career. Can you, if possible, share some pivotal moment early in your career days that would resonate with this young audience that significantly influenced your path? Was there any lessons that you learned? And Pallavi, if you could answer this.
So it's a brilliant question, because the first job that you do, the first place that you go to, the mentor that you get there, really changes so much. So I remember I joined Tanishq. I think I was 22 years old. And, so this was my first project. And I was supposed to design a line for young women, gold jewelry. And whole research was done. There were many people who had done that research groups, marketing people from IIM, everywhere. And they gave a brief stating that design jewelry for young women, and it's with World Gold Council. And it's supposed, and there was already a laid out understanding of the brief that, flowers work really well for younger people. So now I was a young student, just graduated, gone to a new job, and I was, and I wanted to present my view. And I really wanted to be in line with, I just didn't want to go against the organization. But in all of that, I had to say my view. I had to say what I really believed in. And in that meeting with 30 people, I stood there and I brought my work out and I said, well, I think the country is ready to wear straight lines. You know, we should be doing sticks on the year. And they were like, but it has to go to tier 2 cities, it has to go to various parts of India. Are we really ready? And well, I said, I think this is the collection, this is what you should be launching with. But you know, as a student, you have that fear. You have people who've done, you know, big agencies done research saying that, you know, this is what should be done. So anyways, I put out my idea and I said, well, it is straight lines. I see barcodes as my inspiration. It's black and white lines. And we're going to do gold. And it's a huge investment. Gold has intrinsic value. So it's a huge investment, you know, couple of crores, maybe double digit. But I think the then CEO of the company stood up and he said, we're going to go with what you're suggesting. You better be right. So it was a huge responsibility. But the company did land up making millions because of that change. And yeah, so I guess, you know, how much ever fear you have, which you will have, it's fine. The whole idea is to believe in yourself, to be able to make that change, because that's the only thing you have. You have yourself. You have to put yourself out there, say what you believe in. And I think that's a huge learning that I had, my first.
That's really an interesting part, like, you know, believe in yourself. But the most part is, like, you know, when we go to an organization and there are people who are older than you, there are people who, as you said, you know, IAMs and others are standing there, but you believed in something and you managed to say that across. Yeah. That's something which we can take it forward from. Nidhi, what's your take on that?
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I have deepest gratitude and the opportunity to share stage with Pallavi, who is so decorated with so many accolades. So I feel hugely inadequate, but I'll still take the shot. Prashantji, you had sent a heads up about this question. I'll be honest, I couldn't read through the whole thing, but this was something that, I really thought about it, that what was a pivotal moment, and honestly, I couldn't think of any, and because a lot of ideas started bouncing into my mind, because then I realized that every day was a pivotal moment, every day was an opportunity, even till date, right? So it was very difficult for me to pick one, because I could go on answering this question and the day won't end. I think, and I'm going to share this with you. I graduated in the year 2001, and I was very fortunate to graduate in that year because, and this also brings me to a book which I want to share, and you should, if any one of you get a hold of that book, if you've read, great, but if you've not read, you should read this book called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. It's a great book, beautifully written, great author, and the book explains that how the universe enables or conspires you to be successful, you know, to be in a place. So I think the year 2001, couple of years before that and a couple of years after that, was a great time. The world was on a treadmill, right? Things were changing dramatically. We were going from floppy to CD to DVD. Music industry was getting digitized. You know, India was changing at a rapid pace. हमने परमाणु परीक्षण किया था in 1990 at 11th May. I think we did the nuclear test, and we became nuclear power. So all of these things that was happening had a profound impact on the confidence and the outlook of the young students who were graduating in those couple of years. And what happens is when world changes at such a rapid pace, opportunities are galore, right? The appetite for the world to take risks suddenly increases. So I think the sheer fact that I joined Madura Garments, which is ABFRL, as my first job, to start a jeans brand, which was a formal company. So सब लोग tie or shirt or pleated pants पहन के office आते थे, and I was this one alien who had to do jeans, which the organization had never done. So the opportunity that it presented was humongous. I could set up factories, buy machines, hire tailors. So the opportunity was like not just design, but overall 360 degrees. So I think that's great. And why I'm sharing this with you is that, you know, I believe such profound change, such paradigm shift happens once in 20, 30 years in the world. We're going through that change right now. So I think the students who are going to graduate this year, have graduated a couple of years ago, are going to graduate a couple of later, have tremendous opportunity. Business models are turning on its head. There is legacy fatigue. There is, I think, generational myths are getting broken. So therefore, the opportunities would be humongous. There'll be cross-functional stuff that'll happen. And so my learning is, all you need to do is to be completely open, as Pallavi was saying, be fearless, absorb, and be present. That's very, very critical and important. That's what I think I was fortunate to be able to do that. So I think, I'm sorry that I'm not able to share a pivotal moment, but I think,
But this
that's
makes sense,
how,
because when you said that every day is an opportunity.
absolutely.
That's an absolute part. And also, when the economy is growing at this pace,
Yeah.
right, the moment of India is right there, we have to seize it up.
Yeah.
That's an, a take-home which everyone out here can take. And you did mention about outlier. I think we can come back to that later,
Sure.
because outlier is something which not everybody will be able to identify, because we are now focused on the mid-fat curve, and the outlier is outside that, right? And that's really an interesting part. And the brand, if I'm not wrong, was SF.
SF jeans,
Yeah,
yes.
and that you had a very interesting collection which had laser cuts on the SF jeans
Yes.
in 2003
Yes.
or so.
2002, 17th of August was the
Wow.
day when we launched the brand at 8:55 p.m. Church Street was the first store, and the first hoarding was put on MG Road. It was the first tri-fold hoarding, so that was an innovation at that time. I mean, it seems really, yesteryears. But yes, that was the brand, and we didn't know that we were making sustainable jeans then, because SF was the first brand globally to make jeans, 100% of his jeans from laser. So we abandoned sandblast, which is hazardous, and we did all our washing and aging of the denims was done with laser. We were the first buyer of the laser machine that Genologia in Spain had developed.
That was 22 years back.
is it 22?
Yeah.
I'm still getting better at math, you know.
So I think the next subsequent question on the same thing
Sure.
would be for you. That is, how do you balance creativity and strategy? See here, both of you are from industries that require a mix of creativity and strategic thinking. Like, how do you strike this balance? If you could start, and then Pallavi could conclude that.
Sure. I think this is a very interesting question, and I think most of us have been asked this question many times. I think it's a myth that creativity and strategic thinking cannot be balanced, because otherwise, what is innovation? I think innovation is the most harmonious blend of creative thinking and strategic thinking. Because if you have a great creative idea which doesn't deliver any value to anybody, you're playing stupid, right? It has zero meaning. You're a rebel without a cause, and that creates misery. You don't want to be miserable. So I think it's a myth that it doesn't exist. Great success happens when you are able to blend it beautifully. And what I have done, and I want to share that with you today, is that for a lot of things that seems difficult, seems very fancy, creative thinking or strategic thinking, kaise blend karo, balance kare, it sounds very fancy, it is not so. But, you should have tools deployed to keep you guarded, to keep you on the track. I think, for me, the tool is result orientation. So, sometime in my career, I think all creative people have huge action orientation. We are all action-oriented people. We want to do things, right? क्योंकि हम ये कर सकते हैं, हम सोच सकते हैं, हमारे ऊपर ये कर्तव्य हमारा कि हम सोचे, right? Is it okay if I keep switching between Hindi and English?
That's the best, I guess. I know.
Thank you. So we feel that we are responsible to do, right? And there is an action orientation. So we always are in action and trying to do things. I think it's sometime in the middle of my career I realized that, result orientation is more critical. So if you can just say that you need to be result oriented, and how to do that is basically first develop a purpose and a plan. So figure out your why. That also brings me to a very interesting on the book that I would again recommend. Read a book called Start With Why, written by Simon Sinek. It's a great, great book. It tells you about how to focus on the core why, core purpose to start with, and then get to what, and then get to how, and then get to what. Great brands do that. Great people do that. So your how becomes incidental. Your core purpose is critical. So figure out your core purpose, have a plan, negotiate that plan with your stakeholder, whoever is your stakeholder at whatever stage of your life, and then track results. So I think one of the ways to balance creative thinking and strategic thinking is to be result-oriented.
That makes an interesting take. And every question, there's a book that is coming across. That's the best, right? And here, as you mentioned, it's like the how becomes coincidental.
Yeah.
Because why and what.
Yeah, why is
What
very critical. Yeah.
So Pallavi, your take on how do you balance creativity and the strategic side of taking.
No, I completely agree with Nidhi here that there is a balance needed. Though I would differ a little bit. So
I got it when you.
So you know, like say for example, I would maybe answer it this way, that there is art and there's design. So art is satisfying your soul. It really doesn't have any other commercial purpose. It could be soul, but it really is satisfying a soul urge to express yourself completely into the world. And then you've got design. Design enables or takes art and is for a commercial purpose. It's solving a problem. So my question has always been, what is design without art? I mean, it's a very valid question. So now, again, coming from the creative and the strategic, I would say that, so say for example, I was designing a collection which had won me an award called Amra. And you would follow the entire design process, and then say I've researched it. I know that if I'm designing with the mango motif is, comes from maybe Kashmir. It's also the mango motif, the town. I mean, there's a very interesting understanding on it, which I will tell you after this. Say the motif itself is, you've studied everything about it. Half of it looks like yin and yang. You've done your research. It's used on the sarpech. You guys know the mango motif, right? So after you've done all your study, you know your brief, you know everything, what is really there different in your project? What are you going to bring to the table? And that is where the most important part of it lies. It's the creative part. It's the art. It's the you that you bring into the project that changes everything. So yes, I would say how much art into your design, how much strategic thinking, how much creative thinking is what defines your design project, what you create. So that's totally up to a person. But I think the most important thing is to bring your soul into the project. Say for a very interesting thing, while I was researching about the mango motif, the ambi, it's usually called the paisley.
Yeah.
And how it got its name was because in the 19th century, the shawls from Kashmir, which had the mango motif, were being sent mostly to Paisley. So, which is a town, I think, somewhere in Scotland. So the motif itself, was called Paisley. So there are so many things. When your research is very important. So yes, your design process is really critical because it gives you an understanding holistically. But then you leave everything behind and you put yourself in there. And I think that is important.
Yeah, that's wonderful insights, like on how you combine art and then balance it, right? What also we see here is a pluralistic thought. Like, both their thought exist in this world. Right? And that's what Homecoming is for us.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would actually say that Pallavi's point and the point that I was saying are pretty much similar, and there is very little disagreement. So, but I think that yeah, I totally agree, and it makes sense that first of all you need to figure your why. You need to know what you want to do and how different it is and how deep it is. So follow that. There has to be a certain sense of madness and insanity in your belief. So that's very critical. So once you've done that, align your stakeholders. When you go out and into the real world and do job, you will have stakeholders, you'll have results to deliver, you'll have timelines. So align on the timelines, align on the resources available, and align on how and when a certain task or a job or a vision can be achieved first. Research on the tools available that is at your stake to deliver that. Once that is done, make products, ship them. After you ship the products, after you have delivered your assignments and your results with a certain initial thought and belief, then become the slave to the data. Then track results. If the consumer says, or the audience that you're doing that work for that says that this is solving a very different purpose than you actually thought, declare victory.
Superb.
Say, it now solves that purpose. Then have the utmost amount of humility and make iteration. Iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3. There is something called a rule of 3%. So when Nike did Air Force One with Tiffany, they only changed 3% of the Air Force One. Air Force One? What was the shoe?
Yeah.
Air Jordan, Air Force, right?
Yeah.
So they changed only 3%. So you have to keep changing 3%. So keep making iteration, right? So I would say, yes, it starts with having the belief. You have a responsibility. Then go on to aligning stakeholders, aligning resources, having insane belief in what you want to do. Once you ship it, let the data take over, become the slave of the data, and start making iterations.
Yeah, that underlines the importance of looking at the data unbiased way, and data is the king. Here, my next question goes into the role of mentorship. Now, for all whom you know how the word mentor comes, I guess it was Homer's Odyssey, where Odysseus had to go to the Trojan War, and he thought that he may not come back. And what does he do? He asks his father's friend, who was a very old man, and his name was Mentor. And what did Mentor do? He lived his life. And he asked his father's friend that I'm giving my son to you, make him a king. Right? Now, at this juncture, the role of mentorship is very important. I'm sure you would have met many or at least one. How important was mentorship in your career? And if possible, if you could share some anecdotal references, like how the mentor would have shaped your thought, your views, your worldviews, the mental models that you carried. Pallavi, if you could start on this.
Yeah. I think if I divide my life throughout, right from the beginning, there were people who I admired a lot, and I would call them my mentors. And it's such an important part, which I now realize how critical it is, because you can really make or break a person. Mentorship is really a serious thing. So I think for students, it's very important to choose the right mentor. So, I mean, right from the beginning, I guess my mother was my first mentor. Going on forward, there were many mentors right from school, then at NIFT, some brilliant faculty, like Mr. Jatin Bhatt, who I would name. There were so many lovely, I mean, I would say a beautiful faculty who guided me right. I mean, till today, if I was to pick up the phone, I would just say, I have this problem, and they'd be there to sort of help out as much as they can. And I see that followed here. I mean, I was meeting Yatindra right now, and how into the students he is. It makes such a difference. And everybody. But mentorship is really important. Right, even at Titan, while I was working, when I started doing my first job, to now who I meet, people I meet at my work, So just going back to my mother, I'm going to start with that because I think we owe so much to our parents, was that I loved to sketch on the walls. And I once, my mother wasn't the most, she was a bit strict. So I went and I sketched on my wall, in my bedroom. I sketched everywhere, I painted. And then I was very frightened. It's like, oh my God, now what's going to happen? But my mother walked into the room and she said, oh my God, that looks lovely. And that's it. And she didn't just encourage me at doing the art, but slowly it became like the rest of the family, my grandparents, my friends, would come in to see what I had painted in my room. And for me, it was a great self-expression. So those little moments that give you the confidence, the people trusting you, that faith that they put in you, actually add to your self-belief. And it's very important to choose those mentors. I mean, so like that at work, so choose your mentors. Like while I was at Sherwood in Nainital studying, I had a great mentor. The art teachers there, we used to go for nature walks and we would paint the mountains. And I've painted many mountains in Nainital where, right from school, from the art block, it was my place of peace. And it was just such a lovely experience because I would always say that though I had in grade 11 and 12, I had art as a subject, but they would allow you to paint it in any color, even if you wanted to paint the mountain upside down. And there was so much encouragement, and those paintings still live in school. So yeah, mentors are very important. And I think when you look back, even if you guys are being mentors to anybody, your juniors, the encouragement, the love, giving good, advice. It could be, even if you're going against what the other person is feeling, it's very important to authentically be a good mentor.
So when you said that, believe in yourself and say what it is, now I understand why. Because you had a set of people in your life who believed in you,
yeah,
and encouraged you to go forward on that, right? On that note, Nidhi, your thoughts?
Wow, beautiful stories, Pallavi. And I agree with you that, choose your mentor. So be very porous. I've had many mentors, as Pallavi said. And of course, in college, friends, younger people. In fact, on mentorship, I keep bringing a little bit of a book and a story, but on mentorship, there is a beautiful movie, and I don't think it is really easily available. The movie is called The Legend of Bagger Vance, and this movie is inspired from Gita. Lead role played by Will Smith, Charlize Theron, and Matt Damon. I think 1998 or 99 release, but a great movie. If you can get a hold of that and the students can watch it, it'll be wonderful. So, so mentors have great a role, right? Because as you go on in life, from first semester to sixth semester to eighth to first job to second, there's so much that is changing. There's so much opportunity that is coming your way, and it is important that you have a third perspective. You have an outside perspective to dispassionately show you the way. Like Krishna was a coach, was a mentor, right? So Krishna, when the victory happened, Krishna was not there in Mahabharata, the one of the greatest mythology. So that's what mentors do, and I have had lots of mentors. So I would say that be very porous, be Eklavya. If you can go back and read about Eklavya, if you don't know, Eklavya was a tribal prince, right? And he wanted to be the greatest archer, and Arjun was destined to be the greatest archer. So Eklavya went to Dronacharya seeking कि मुझे तीर कमान चलाना सिखाएं. And Dronacharya was committed to make Arjun the greatest archer, so he had to refuse Eklavya. Then Eklavya made a clay statue of Dronacharya Dronacharya and learned. So I would say also, this is a great aspect of mentorship. You must appoint mentors for yourself. So when we were in college, मैं और मेरा एक मित्र, my best friend Anurag, we just appointed Rajesh Pratap as a mentor. We loved him. हम उनके स्टोर चले गए और उनके स्टोर से उनका घर का एड्रेस पता कर लिया, उनके घर पहुंच गए. हम बोले आप हमारे मेंटोर हो. He was like, अरे तुम लोग हो कौन भाई? So I think it's very important for you you should appoint your mentor. Be Eklavya. And you know, it's very interesting that what opportunities, pain and diversity can do. It builds characters. So Dronacharya ne Eklavya mein dekha ki Eklavya potentially could destroy the world because he could really become greater archer than Arjun, and he didn't have a lot of empathy, right? Eklavya was a ferocious warrior. So Dronacharya asked for his thumb in Guru Dakshina because back then the archery was done with thumb and the index. So Eklavya lost his thumb. In that adversity, Eklavya developed a new technique of archery, which he could archer from his middle and index finger, and that is the way archery is done today.
That's
So I think that's a great story and lesson there. So I would say be Eklavya, seek mentor. There is opportunity to learn from anybody and everybody, और वो कीजिए. Mentors का role बहुत critical होता है.
Seek your mentor. That's a lovely take home, right? Like, you know, and the mentors need not be within these four walls. You have identified them. As you said that, you know, the maximum on that day would be a refusal.
Absolutely.
But that refusal never happened, right? Now, adapting to change. Now, in the industry that we are, it itself has built in obsolescence in such a way that without that, the industry does not survive. Like, we have a forced obsolescence, right? But that also causes a lot of challenge for the professionals. Now, in this industry where constantly, which is totally evolving, how do you stay ahead of these trends or stay ahead of the curve, like one step ahead of the time so that every time you could give something which would surprise the world? How do you do that? The question is both for you and...
My answer is very similar, I think, to what I already said. But the thing is that, yes, you know, you visit trade fairs to keep yourself abreast with the new. Visit factories where you're making the craftsmen, travel. These are all things that, you know, read books, you're part of various seminars, your core groups, form those groups. But I think all of those things are great. It's very important to know the trend, but when you're designing, it's important to forget it, right?
I mean, that's very difficult now, right? Now you say that go to trade show, read books, you know, meet the artisans. I mean, is there any shortcut for this? Like, you know, one pill that I can take and I can be ahead of the curve?
You can't design if you're loaded with all the trends. I mean, if you just want to follow the trends, fabulous, you know, follow the trends. But if you want to create a trend, if you really want to break that clutter, you know, Control, Alternate, Delete, remove it all, internalize, bring who you are to the table.
So you need to have the blinders. I mean, I think this 4 years they spend here would be the blinders to tell them that this is what you have to pick up. Rest, everything is noise.
Yeah, I think the noise is very important. I mean, it's there's so much on Instagram, Pinterest. The whole world is open out there. You'd go check out everything. Yeah. But then, you know, who are you? The only thing you have to offer the world is yourself, right? I mean, my art, my design. So if it has to be you, you can't be somebody else, right?
Absolutely.
So for originality, the most important thing is to connect with yourself, lose those many layers, be as authentic and original as you can be. I think the exercise always is to remove those million layers, all that you've done. Go to the sketching table, sketch your ideas out. You want to make something longer, you're drawing an elephant, for example. You want to make the trunk extremely long, do it. You know, do it, sketch, connect your mind to the paper, connect it to whatever. I mean, you're drawing on Procreate, you're on any software, any 3D software, whatever it is. But internalize. I think it's very important to shut the noise and connect to yourself and bring to the world who you truly are.
That's lovely. I would like to hear your opinion on how do you stay.
I think I completely agree with Pallavi, and the way you've put it is beautiful. I think I think there are so many tools available, right? So there are tools available like trade fairs, internet. This world has opened up, but you have to really then lock yourself in and cut the noise and really discover yourself. I think all of this fundamentally, I think boils down to 3 fundamental tools that you can apply to constantly ensure that you don't become irrelevant, or your ideas don't become irrelevant. You don't get stuck in the past. And I think these become sharper as you grow older. I think first is seek and anticipate where the change will happen. And that needs tremendous amount of research. So do a lot of research, study a lot. परिश्रम की ज़रूरत है और प्रतिज्ञा की ज़रूरत है. So वो बहुत ज़रूरी है. बहुत research करें. That's critical, which will help you anticipate where the change will happen. Right? And then I think check your diversity score. That I think is hugely important, which means that how diverse is your circle? Very deliberately build a diverse circle. It might not be easy. It might be very difficult, but it's necessary. There is no replacement for that. You are a sum total of 10 people that you surround yourself with. So seek your purpose, what do you seek, and then surround yourself with 10 people whom you can be closest with that can bring very diverse views. It'll be the most painful thing to do. But I don't think there is a choice if we are seeking greatness. And I think third is past is irrelevant. So enjoy your story, really be proud of it, but have the courage to let go of that story. What got you here is not going to get you there. So if you can just live your life with these 3 rules, that's what I have learned to do. And I think, you can embrace change. So I would say these 3 tools can be applied to really keep yourself open and be porous.
Yeah, really nice.
And almost like the art of the war, right? You're strategizing out there and anticipate where the actual change would be.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that you mentioned, past is irrelevant.
Yeah.
And you can recreate yourself, is what I understood.
Yeah.
I mean, the take home from them would be theirs. But that's something which should be underlined here.
Yeah.
Right? Thank you. And now at NIFT, NIFT being an educational institute, we need to hone the skills of the young generation of designers that are there. And they're going to change the industry. The industry is growing at a tremendous pace. Right? Now, at this juncture, what would be the impact of education be? Like, to be very specific, how did your education at NIFT contribute to your professional success? Are there any specific skills or experiences from your time here that has particularly been valuable? Now, we know from the answers they are mentioned already, there's a person who used to sketch and draw on the walls, right? And that would have been there. But then was there something that happened at NIFT which shaped you that you are right now?
You'd like to go first?
Sure. So, I think this will be the easiest question to answer. So, I think everything, right? So, um, what am I without NIFT? I think nothing. Um, so, I'm hugely grateful to the skills and knowledge and mindset that I was able to acquire when I went to study NIFT. And I think apart from hard skills, because hard skills are time bound, and therefore the relevancy of that keeps evolving. We didn't learn AI, but maybe today is very critical. We learned a lot of pattern making. We learned a lot of draping. I think sketching is a very important skill, even in this today's world. And trust me, I was one of the worst in sketching, but आत्मविश्वास बहुत था कि मैं अच्छा sketch करता हूँ, बहुत गंदा करता था. But I didn't give up. I sketch even today. I still have a pattern making table and a juki machine in my house, and love to sometimes go and stitch my curtains and stuff. So I think apart from these practical hard skills, out of which sketching I will rate the topmost, sketching is a mode of communication. You should be able to communicate your ideas, and for that sketching is very important. So one of the most I don't know if I should say this, but since I've started, one of the questions that I ask in any interview is draw a happy place. So that tests your imagination and your hard skills. So, अब मैं interview में I'll make sure that I'm not there and somebody else. Because the question, I've leaked the paper. So, so I think that's important. But apart from that, I think there are a lot of softer aspects that are very invaluable. एक तो मुझे लगता है जो पल्लवी ने बोला कि we were blessed to have great faculties, and I'm sure that tradition continues in a great institution like NIFT. We were so fortunate. I mean, I get emotional when I talk about this. I mean, our faculties were so emotionally vested.
Yes.
और शिक्षक का मुझे लगता है कि यही क्या बोलते हैं उसको अल्टीमेट गोल होता है कि हमारे बच्चे पढ़े लिखें और बहुत अच्छा कर लें, करेक्ट, और वापस आए तो उनको बहुत गर्व होता है. सो I think we were blessed to have phenomenal, and I was in awe and love, and oh my God. So that's one. So that was a gift that we had. Then I met the most beautiful woman on the planet at NIFT and married her, and my wife, Swati. So I'm grateful for that. I made great friends. बहुत अच्छे मित्र मिले, और अब वो परिवार हैं. And NIFT has pressures, you have to work very hard, it makes you nocturnal to a certain extent, right? So, so the learning that happens in that pain, and that you are so stretched, is invaluable. Your edges are getting softened. You're getting shaped into a beautiful human being. I think it's invaluable. So, gratitude रखिए, और अपने शिक्षक पे विश्वास रखिए, और enjoy कीजिए. I mean, that's been
that's absolutely great. I mean, that's coming from the CEO of a brand, right? Two things, right? One, trust the shikshak.
Yes.
Shikshak is not the person who gives shiksha. That is punishment. But, that's the first trust that should build in. But then there was one thing that he mentioned, that during the entire course, he still has a pattern making table and a Zuki machine back at home. Even though I think mornings till evening you'll be looking at the PL and other things.
Yeah, excruciatingly painful, but yeah, that's the reality.
And thank you for doing that, because AFL, that is Arvind Fashion Limited, has turned over, and we are looking at what, 100 and odd % of growth in this last 1 year.
I have very little to do with it.
Yeah.
I am blessed with a great team, and you know, I run a very small brand called Flying Machine, but our marquee brands are USPF, Arrow, Kevin Klein, and Tommy Hilfiger. And of course, we have Flying Machine as well. So it's the results that you see quarter after quarter is work done by some phenomenal colleagues that I have. And I have a very, very small role and contribution. So,
Thank you for that. Pallavi, your take on the impact of education and especially how NIFT shaped you, who you are today?
Oh, that's a very, very hard and easy question. Both, and I'll tell you why. So I did not want to study accessory design. And I had taken the NIFT exam, and I got through, then there's an interview that happens. And I just wanted to study fashion design. And I went there, and usually I think there was a psychologist, there were other faculty, and the panel that was there. And they gave me a puzzle, they started talking to me, and the psychologist told me that you're very good at 3D. And I said yes. And he says, well, have you thought about studying accessories? Have you thought about product? I said, no, I don't want to do it. You know, I was like, my God, they're going to give me accessory design. No, you know. And I was like, I walked out, and I wanted Delhi NIFT, and my scores were good. I thought they were good. And, well, that's what they did. They gave me accessory design. The psychologist believed I had good 3D understanding and I would do better at it. And I can't tell you how grateful I am for that today. I love 3D. And I started studying design, and I, in fact, resented it. And I was like, this is so hard. I don't know what's happening. But oh my God, how I fell in love with accessory design. And you know, shoes, bags, belt, the link with fashion, to be able to interact, the interdisciplinary learning that we had at NIFT, where we could walk into leather technology at one point, and knitwear, and then fashion design, and you know, link all of that back to product design to see how accessories can really transform the outfit. Being able to sort of, you know, collaborate with everyone. It was lovely. I don't think there could have been a better learning platform. And I am so grateful for whoever had done this for me, because I would have never known. So yes, I mean, what I am today, I guess, I mean, it answers it.
One pivotal moment.
Yes.
That's lovely. So both of you have really demanding careers, right? And how do you manage to maintain a healthy work-life balance? Because we have this young crowd out here, and not only young crowd, this answer would be for me also. How should we ensure this healthy work-life balance? Your thoughts?
Go ahead.
sure. So, yeah, so again, I think maybe not such a popular answer, but
Swati would be knowing that, right?
but I think there is no work. It's a very personal view. Over the years, I've come to realize that that work-life balance is a myth. You are one person. You're the same person at work and personal life and everywhere else. However, I think, and this is I've learned the hard way. I've been very workaholic throughout my life. But I believe that again, and I try to apply tools and processes to structure my work and my life. I think that having a plan and a purpose, as I initially said, is very critical. So start with why, have a plan, what you want to achieve, have result orientation, evaluate your tools, and then do time boxing. So there is a very interesting 2x2 matrix It's a very simple metric of urgent and important.
Yeah, Eisenhower matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is, you can look through it. It's easily available on the internet. So it's important and urgent, and you can box your things that you want to achieve. And then once you've done that, eat the frog. So get the most difficult thing out first. So that's, and then go on to do the easier thing. So I think that's one way to do that. Another thing, I think, philosophically, I believe there is no substitute to getting up early in the morning. I'll give you another book that you should read. Is the 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. Great book. It's an easy read. It's a phenomenal read. You must read that book. Hugely inspiring. So there is no substitute to getting up early in the morning. You know, few fundamentals don't change. If you want to have a long, healthy, successful career and want to make impact, I don't think there is any substitute to getting early in the morning and have a cold shower. So that's critical, because you know what you will do? You will be able to gift yourself your evening. Although we become very nocturnal while in college, because we have the energy and the strength to be able to work late nights, but I think that you should pivot away from that very quickly. And earlier you can do that, better it is. So give yourself a gift of evening. And how can you give yourself a gift of evening? To have one passion, have a hobby. That no rational decision should come in the way of you pursuing that hobby. You should be so passionate about one hobby. So do something in the evening, gift yourself that, so that it pushes you to start early. So start early, do time boxing. I think that's one of the ways to ensure that you have a positive, healthy work-life balance.
That's you. I mean, you put it in a nutshell. Wake up early, gift yourself the evening, right? And time box in between, and look forward for that one hobby which will keep you alive. I have written it down, and that's what I think I'll also follow it up. Thank you for this, Nidhi, and your thoughts, Pallavi.
So I grew up in a boarding school. So what I really hated at that time, I sort of take forward now. So there was discipline. And I think what is really critical in anybody's life is discipline and having a timetable. I know in school you all had timetables, and maybe you packed your bag that way, or you had a schedule. But the minute you're out on your own, you don't need that timetable, but you actually need it a lot more, because you're sort of taking care of your own life. So I think one of the things that has always helped me is ensuring that I have a very disciplined life, where I have lots of time to have fun. That means I actually allocate my time. I know that if I'm going to live, if I'm having a timetable, it's allowing me to do my work. I can finish it a lot faster and get on to doing stuff that I love doing. And the other thing that really helps me is fitness. So I make sure that I'm taking care of my body. I'm fit, because without a fit body, a fit mind is not possible. So you have to be fit in your body. I always keep learning something new, because that challenges me. Very recently, I got the yellow belt in karate. I know it's the starting one, but yes.
That's
and I picked up a new language to learn, and I'm taking an international test for that. And I'm able to read in that language things about my own profession, about, say, design. But when I hear it from another language, another person who's written the book in another language, it is very challenging and it's very interesting. It brings out a new perspective, and so learning something new constantly in your profession, away from your profession, is very important, to keep challenging yourself at all times.
Unfortunately, both your answer is very difficult. Like, let's say, wake up early. Difficult, right? Learn a new language. Difficult. I watch, world cinema with subtitles on, and I got a squint. right? So now I need to, now all of these things are there, and that's difficult, and I think that's what also creates, pushes us every time, right?
I guess
Thank
so.
you, thank you for that. And there's some specific questions for each one of you, okay? Like this one goes for Nidhi Raj, and because he segued from design to heading the business, right? And the question that was going through my mind was this: how marketing, like we have seen marketing has seen rapid changes in these recent years. Gone are those days when marketing was just, put up some image and say that buy, and people would have fallen for that. It has moved away from that, and especially with the rise of digital platforms, and aided by algorithms and statistical tools, which we now call as artificial intelligence. Now, how do you see the future of brand management? And what should young marketers out here should focus on? If you could kind of summarize this, and that one book which would help them. That's one part.
Yeah, the book is Ikigai, I think.
Oh, Ikigai.
But again, a great book, easy book, a beautiful book to read. And why I say that, why Ikigai? Because, I'm a strong believer that fundamentals are fundamentals. There are certain rules of the universe, basis which the universe is made. तो मुझे लगता है कि with changing times, the newer tools will come and go. They will be, newer tools will come, will be very sexy, it'll become outdated in a few years. It's easy to keep up with that because there'll be opportunities available, vocational courses available to master that skill. So I think learning digital marketing, 6 months focus, study, you get to know what PLA is, what CPC is, click क्या होता है, परफॉर्मेंस मार्केटिंग क्या होता है, कितना पैसा खर्च करना पड़ता है हर क्लिक पे, ये सब संभव है, अवेलेबल है पढ़ने के लिए. मुझे लगता है कि जो फंडामेंटल है उसको समझने की बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है. So, and I keep going back to Simon Sinek's Start With Why, because I think great brands are built and great stories are built on very fundamental values. For example, and finding the purpose, right? For example, let me quiz you. Is that okay? What do you think is the purpose of Surf Excel?
Dirt अच्छा है.
What is the purpose of Surf Excel? If anybody, it doesn't have to be right answer because there are no right answers. There are never right answers. Answers always contextual. So, yes.
So I think to convince people that दाग अच्छे हैं.
Okay.
Being what actually the story.
Fantastic. Great. Yeah. Lovely. Fantastic answer. Anybody else wants to give a shot? Anybody else wants to give a shot? I saw a few people leaving. They definitely know what answer. I think the purpose, this is a documented purpose of Surf Excel, is to foster creativity in children.
Lovely.
Now that's their why. How they do it is by sharing stories with parents. So they have found something really interesting that is in a cultural context. There is a guilt that the parents have that they're not able to allow their children to play in the dirt and mud and पेड़ पे चढ़ के आम तोड़ के गर्मी में आम खा रहे हैं, वो नहीं कर पा रहे हैं क्योंकि we are a migrant country, right? Because हम छोटे शहर से निकल के बड़े शहर आए और नौकरी कर रहे हैं और अपार्टमेंट में चले गए. तो वो कल्चरल ट्रुथ है. उस ट्रुथ को समझ के सर्फ एक्सेल ने बोला माय पर्पस इन लाइफ इज टू फॉस्टर क्रिएटिविटी इन चिल्ड्रन. तो and how will I do it? I'll do it by this. By the way, we sell detergents. That product becomes incidental, what you were saying earlier. But a greater good gets solved. So, and therefore, the campaign got developed, which you rightly said, that, the campaign got developed, which is daag achhe hain. So, allow children to dirty their clothes. What will happen is when they dirty their clothes, you will need more detergents, the industry gets changed, and revenue comes in. So I think starting with why is very critical. So मुझे लगता है fundamentally marketers के लिए focusing on core why is, and there are great examples. There's example of Nike and Phil Knight addresses. We can go on, and if anybody is interested, we can meet later, and I'll be very happy to share more stories. But yeah, another one, Apple. Apple is easy to understand, right? What do you think is Apple's core purpose? Anybody? Apple's core purpose? Somebody was saying something. Yes. Go on, it's fine. It doesn't have to be the right answer.
More than selling the laptops or mobiles, sell the accessories.
Yeah, that's a business result. Great answer, but that's a business result. But there is very interesting, strategy there. But anybody, what's the core purpose of Apple? Yes. Beautiful. I think fantastic. So the Apple's core purpose, documented core purpose, is to foster creativity and make human race move forward. That's Apple core purpose. So जब core purpose clear होता है ना, तो Apple अगर नमक बेचेगा तो आप खरीदोगे. Apple अगर सेव बेचेगा तो आप खरीदोगे. Apple furniture बेचेगा तो आप खरीदोगे. Because the product becomes incidental. Don't get lost in the idea of the product. Get consumed by the purpose.
That's
that
absolutely
the brand
great.
needs to solve.
Yeah.
that
Isn't
you
that
want to
right? The
solve.
why?
I think
Why
it's such
of
a
any
lovely
business,
thing.
right?
Yeah.
That's, and I was just checking my time, and 1 hour just passed by.
Oh,
Right?
really?
And it could only happen because we had this lovely guest out here who put across their thoughts in the most succulent way. So one last question, and this goes for Pallavi. You have kind of answered this before, but you can sum it up. Like your designs, your jewelry designs are known for their innovation and artistic play, right? How do you approach this creative process where you are marrying both innovation? Innovation has an element of business success, but with the artistic flair. And keeping this, and what would the advice be for these young aspiring designers who are sitting here and behind our screens, right? How would they nurture the creativity? This is the last question, and please.
So there are, many answers to it. And I have answered it. But I'm going to tell you, a little story of, I designed recently a collection called the Wear Your Prayer. It's a very simple collection. It has a prayer written on the entire piece. But how it started was that I had these are very unique ways in which ideas come to us, things reach us. So there was a friend of mine who was going through a divorce. And she asked me that, Pallavi, could you design me something, give me something that gives me strength, because I really can't move at the moment. I'm stuck in my life, and she was really heading towards depression. And, I remembered that I used to go for a walk, and he used to tell me the Gayatri Mantra, and I was like, okay, I'm going to start studying it, and I'll just put that in a little egg for her. So I sort of sat down myself, and one of the things at NIFT is that we are taught to make our pieces on our own. So I sort of made that piece, sat with the craftsman also, and then, we finally made a little egg with the entire Gayatri Mantra written on it, and it was the size of your nail, that tiny. So nobody could really know what she was wearing. And it just started, and she wore it, she felt a lot better, and then another friend saw it, and so I made about 15 prayers, different religions. Somebody said Ayatul Kursi, someone said, can you put the Ganesh mantra for me? And it sort of became into a whole collection. And then Tanishq wanted to retail it. So I designed a line for them with the Wear Your Prayer. So ideas can really, and we've sold thousands, I don't know how many of those across the world, and from various countries and all over. But like he said, the source, the reason, the basics of your thought have to be to do good. And I think that is very important. If your core idea is to give strength to somebody, the jewelry piece could have, gives more than just aesthetically, it looks like a beautiful carving and, jali work. And it's a little pendant that you're wearing, but what is it giving you? It's giving you strength, power, it's giving you something within that makes you stronger. So those are various things that you keep in mind so your core purpose has to be good, has to be rooted in something positive and to do good for the entire world. That's a very important...
That's something which makes me ponder also now. See, she started off saying that somebody else's problem, right?
Yes.
But you empathized it,
Yes.
and you internalized it and gave a solution.
Right.
Right? That's lovely.
So it could come from there, and sometimes it could be very different.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, if I'm designing an avant-garde piece, I'm visualizing, and say I'm wearing a dragon right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I could be wearing something that, imaginative, that I'm like, okay, now this has to just be beautiful. I can stretch my imagination to any extent. It really doesn't, it's just aesthetic. I want to wear a dragon that wraps on my hand, and then maybe on, it's something that I can pull out, that I can extend forward. And so whatever, so it's different briefs, it's different collections that one designs under the same umbrella of the designer label, or for a brand. But I think the truest thing is like what Nidhi said. What is your core purpose? Why are you doing it? It's very important that it is serving a wider good. And design should always do that. And if your core purpose is good, I think it's very hard to go wrong.
That's lovely.
I also think, Pallavi, the story that you shared, I think it's beautiful, and I'm quite moved. I also think that there are another beautiful aspect about the story you've just shared, and I wanted to just have this quick opportunity to share my learnings. I think one is that there is so much of power in being rooted.
Yes.
So you went back to Gayatri Month, you went back to the story of having a walk with your grandfather. Yeah. It's so beautiful, right? So I think there is power and there is strength in going back to your roots. Is fantastic. That's
yeah, I guess it's always that, you strip all the other stuff and it's who you are.
Yeah.
The more authentic you are to yourself,
yeah.
I think creativity or anything
Absolutely.
that you want to achieve, you can, it's you. And how do you come to yourself with those many layers that the world puts on you?
Yeah.
So
no,
I think
yes.
that would...
Great.
So now
thank you for sharing that story. It's beautiful.
Yeah, thanks.
In this Homecoming series that we had here, we had wonderful insights, wonderful take-homes. I'm sure our audience who are sitting here would have a couple of questions. I think if time permits, we'll take one or two questions from them.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And, we have our guests here. If anybody can ask that question.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Priya Jasmine from the Department of MFT. So I would like to address my question to Mr. Nidhi Raj. So with the rapid technological advancements in the fashion industry, how do we students, what should we focus on so that we're relevant with all the current updates?
I think there is an answer in your question. So you should definitely be seeking out and learning all the new technologies that comes your way. As I said, that you must do a lot of research in the past. History is important because that tells you how the world will move. So anticipate where the change will happen. And if let's say, if I've understood your question correctly, what are the things that we can focus on right now? For example, is AI important? Is digitization important? Is fast commerce important? And I think there are clear answers. These are very, very critical. So these are important. So you must focus on that. And learn. So there is no doubt that whatever is coming, and And the world has changed so much that every second innovation information is on the tip of our fingers. So we know it, that it's moving in this direction. So seek as much knowledge as possible. So I would say that. And then, of course, put your guards down and then focus and find your ikigai and say, this is what I really enjoy. And therefore, I want to channelize my energy into this direction. So that would be my answer. Another thing, I think, one of the ways to do that, and I keep going back to frameworks. I think I'm cursed with framework thinking. One of the ways to be able to figure, where I should focus and what are the things I should do is travel. Again, I would say it's a gift. और संभव है, travel के लिए पैसों की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ती है. Travel कीजिए. बहुत ज़्यादा लोगों से मिलिए, when especially you're young. I mean, give yourself that opportunity. That will show you thousands of things कि क्या करना चाहिए. मैंने बहुत travel किया है, हिंदुस्तान में और बाहर भी, बिना पैसे खर्च किए.
So I think off stage I need to sit with you for that. so now for any other question that would be put across the guests out here.
Good morning. My name is Keisha and I'm from the Department of Accessory Design. And I have a question for you, ma'am. So we've all seen new trends coming in every day. We'd like to know how do you ensure that your designs stay fresh in the market? How do they stay fresh and contemporary in this changing market?
So one of the ways of, yes, like what Nidhi said, travel is critically important. You go see what everything is happening. Now, say, for example, there are chains. You look at all the kind of chains. Are they long, short, whatever is happening, in the market. Look at everything. And your possibilities are that you could, take that trend and change it, make, a little bit of a tweak and work on it. Or you could completely redefine it and say, well, this is done. I do not want to be here. And thus you can choose to be different, but that is a strategic decision. And I think that you have to use your creative thinking as well. I somehow feel that your creative mind has a genius, and it defies everything that is there. So you can think of an idea and say, I want to put this, instead of an idea that already exists, a trend exists. So yes, you have an option to follow trends, which today is very easy. Like you said, travel, you have it all on your Instagram, you have every website of every brand out there. You really don't even have to go there. All the designers out there, you have everything there. You can read about AI, you can actually even ask this question from AI. It'll present the trends to you. But it is what you do with it that is important. Do you really want to follow the trend, change the trend, create a trend? So, I feel that true creativity is not following a trend, but having it in you to create a trend. Because that creative genius and how to achieve it is something that you're taught at NIFT. You're taught to break the boundaries of what exists. And how do you move from that to creating something new? And I think, we're blessed to have such an amazing design process taught to us. In fact, just a little while back, I was having a chat with Yatindra, where I was telling him that there is this beautiful, understanding of, I think he's a US psychologist, Howard Gardner, in the field of education. And he says that there isn't one type of intelligence. It's not like you're intelligent or not. And it's not that, there are 8 types of intelligences. And learning should be in that particular way. So I think in NIFT, somebody could be good at music, art, your body movements, various, 8 types of different intelligences, and maybe more, I don't know. But I think we're really blessed at NIFT to have such a good pedagogy, because it's a great way. It's experiential as well as it's theoretical, it's practical, and each one is allowed to pick out what theme they like, what inspiration you like. I mean, I remember at NIFT, I took inspiration from Sufism, and the other person was taking inspiration from flowers. Somebody would take inspiration from another form of, paintings. So it's what you can connect with. And we were allowed to make our presentations. I'm sure you all are also, whether you want to do it in a form of a ramp, you want to show it. It's all creativity, how you do it, how you present your work. So I think, yes, staying in touch with trends is important. But what you do with it, and is very easy, but what you do with it is more important. Do you follow or do you create?
That's interesting.
And thank you
now,
so
if
much.
I go with what Nidhi mentioned, there is a time block.
Time
and,
boxing.
and it's weekend, and Nidhi would, both of you and all of us, have an element to look forward for the evening. I think we can go for one summation question, if we can put that across.
Sure.
We can have more, but one summation question, if that would come across.
So, good afternoon. My name is Ayush from Fashion Design Department, 7th semester. So, my question goes to both of you. Like, in your journey, how important is an interdisciplinary collaboration been? And also, if you can give me an example, like how professionals from other departments can help you or in your professions.
So when you're in the real life scenario, you are always working with people of different professions and various, creative genres. So say, for example, I've designed a collection, and I then have to put it out into the market. So I will work with an advertising team and say, okay, how do they visualize it? What's my creative idea there? Then comes in the stylist, and there are so many layers to finally reaching the customer. And so it is at all times a cross-pollination of ideas, and a cross-pollination of ideas and interdisciplinary learning is absolutely critical. It's not just in college, because say, for example, you're designing a necklace. I might want to, layer it with fabric or have like dories at the back or add leather with it. So there is no limit. There are so many materials out there. Everybody's working with their own. A bag which can go on the body on an outfit. Why not? So that it's just in our mind that we're studying one thing, but actually you're studying from each other. You're learning everything. Learning is not this or that. It is everything that your mind is seeing at that time. So the more that you're aware of it, the more mindful you are of it, that you're learning from everything. And everything that you're going through, I guess, would be a nice way to look at it.
Thank you.
Would like to add to Pallavi?
Yeah, I think Pallavi has beautifully answered that. My little perspective on that would be, I can't agree more. I think in interdisciplinary collaborations, opens floodgates of creativity, right? So, and there are zillions of examples of that. Or I think in our conversations it has already come earlier that check your diversity score. Check who are the 10 people that you surround yourself with. How diverse they are. Somebody from theater, somebody from business, somebody from banking, somebody from so that you are able to really see the world from a larger perspective, and that's a responsibility being a designer, I think. So, so interdisciplinary is the way to go. So, yeah, I mean, I think if you look at athleisure, which is, I think, was a huge trend, right? It's amalgamation of what? Streetwear and sportswear. So when you took really two great cult products or cult stories and you blend them together, it produced a phenomenal multi-billion-dollar idea. Jock Jeans by Diesel is another great story of movement and denim, dramatically opposite concepts and brought in together. So I think it also, not another book, but it also tells me, it also brings me to the point that, you know, think big, think very big. And your mind is your only limitation. If idea is not stupid enough, it's not great enough. So it has to be start sounding extremely stupid, and then only we can make a dent in the universe. So more diverse, greater chance of something coming game-changing.
Yeah, that's absolutely good. May the force be with them, right?
May the force be with you.
Yeah, that's the part. Nithya, it's over to you. Thank you.
What a beautiful conversation, sprinkled with anecdotes, sprinkled with humor, sprinkled with so much emotion, and I guess we were all rooted on our seats, you know, and basically flowing with the conversation so beautifully. There were no phones on, and I could see people actively taking notes, and it was an absolutely mesmerizing conversation that we had. Thank you so much, and may I now call upon our director, Dr. Yatindra L., and our campus academic coordinator, Dr. Nilanjana, on stage for presenting a small felicitation for actually mesmerizing us this afternoon with such a beautiful conversation. Ms. Pallavi Foley, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Nidhi Raj.
Very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think a huge round of applause would be the least we can do for such a lovely takeaway that we have this afternoon.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. As we approach the end of the session today of Homecoming, it is my privilege to propose the vote of thanks for this afternoon. Firstly, my thanks to our Director General, Ms. Tanu Kashyap, for envisaging this very meaningful platform. Ma'am, it has been acknowledged that we always stand on the shoulders of our giants. And what better way to learn from the pioneers in the business than to hear them speak live. Thank you so much for bringing to fruition this very beautiful event. Next up, my thanks to our Dean Academics, Professor Sudha Dhingra, for helping us put together the nitty-gritties of this event. As we celebrate this homecoming with each NIFT campus, we spoke extensively about a mentor, and I think she's been a beautiful mentor for us to bring this together. This event was, ladies and gentlemen, star-lit. Would you agree? It was totally star-lit by our beloved alumni, Ms. Pallavi and Mr. Nidhi. Thank you for sparing time and passionately sharing your experience. Pallavi, especially for sharing the interesting anecdotes, and we could see the joy in your eyes as you lit up every time you spoke about NIFT. And of course, Mr. Nidhi Raj, for beautifully encapsulating the NIFT experience, including the night owl experience. And of course, I could see people taking notes on the book references after every question. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and sparing time and speaking to our young audience. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for them once again. My special thanks to the Sutradhar of this afternoon, Mr. Prashant Casey. Please understand we have nearly a half a decade combined experience on stage, and he had the difficult task of putting it together in 1 hour and making the best of the opportunity of this half a decade experience on stage.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for our moderator for this afternoon, Mr. Prashant Casey. My thanks go out to Director NIFT Bengaluru campus, Professor Yatindra, who himself has been a mentor for so many of us, an inspiring academic and always pushing us to set our boundaries together and to bring this event to fruition again. Thank you so much, sir. My thanks also to our campus academic coordinator and the entire team of faculty behind the event today, Homecoming Episode 5. Faculty coordinators who have put together this entire event again under her leadership so that you could see the starlit alumni here on stage, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we have the team Bengaluru, the entire sound team and the admin team who have tirelessly worked to have this live streaming across. My thanks go out to them so that all the NIFT campuses are able to watch this simultaneously and learn from this beautiful experience. Thank you for the lovely audience who have been here. I'm sure your takeaway has been immense, and I'm sure you have more questions. Our special guests are here, and I'm sure they'll be able to talk to you. And to our beautiful audience who are joining us live as we live stream, thank you so much for sharing and sparing your time and being with us this lovely afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, I sign off with episode 5 for NIFT Homecoming. Thank you so much.